Hi, I'm Devi Ward Erickson.
And I'm Alaina Salks.
And you are listening to Sex is Medicine, your number one resource for holistic sex education. Alaina and I are bringing you over 27 years of combined expertise in the field of holistic sexual wellness to help you integrate your body, mind, spirit, and sex.
New episodes drop every Thursday morning, so make sure to like and subscribe on all your favorite listening platforms. And make sure you follow Holistic Sexology Institute on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for your daily dose of Sex is Medicine. Now let's get started. This is Sex is Medicine, and I'm Alaina Salks.
And I am Devi Ward Erickson, and we are grateful and honored and delighted to have you here with us again today for another exciting episode of Sex is Medicine. Once again, we are your number one resource for woke holistic sex education. We are the podcast for sexual rebels and spiritual warriors. So if you are one of those or aspire to be a sexual rebel and spiritual warrior, this is the hour-long podcast for you, my friends. So yay. So today we are answering your questions again. We love your questions. Thank you so much for sending us your questions. You can send them to questions@holisticsexologyinstitute.com. Today we're answering questions from our Ejaculation Mastery for Men program. So if you haven't taken that program with us, Ejaculation Mastery for Men, it is a wonderful, wonderful program to instruct you all in learning the beautiful art, those of you with people with penises, the beautiful art of separating orgasm from ejaculation and accessing your full orgasmic potential. So that is ejaculationmastery.com. You can get that at holisticsexologyinstitute.com. I don't know if I said ejaculation mastery. I don't know if that's the URL for it. Anyway, ignore all that. So, a little brain fart. Anyway, so did you want to say something, Alaina?
You can also find Ejaculation Mastery in the links in our Instagram page. And yeah, I think it's holisticsexologyinstitute.com, and you can find Ejaculation Mastery in our dropdown if you go there.
Yay. All right. So that's our product ping. So we're going to get into answering your questions, but first we want to do a hot take for you. So we have a lovely presenter, social media influencer person who has given us some advice that Alaina and I wanted to discuss. We wanted to do a hot take for you. Okay. So here's the hot take.
Him happy. He's your man. He deserves the best. Women, listen up. If your man wakes up, you have to make him. That is a rule. We don't do anything. He wants you to. So first thing first. He's wake, then go downstairs or go in the kitchen and make him a coffee. Make him happy. He's your man. He deserves the best.
Okay. So
a lot of that was bleeped out.
What was that?
A lot of that was bleeped out. I don't know if our listeners who are just listening will get it.
Okay, all right. So this lovely educator, Alaina Zonia TV, is sharing with us women, that if your male partner wakes up with a hard-on, that you need to suck his dick. Like that is just your job. And I mean, you just do it, and then you go down and you make him a fucking coffee because this is your man. And that is your job as the wife. And I'm going to stop screen sharing this. There was a cute comment up there, but that I wanted to show you guys, but I'll circle back to it. So that's what she's saying. She's saying that if your man wakes up with a hard on, you need to suck his dick. You need to make him come, and then you need to go make him a coffee. And I'm going to say that the only part of that I disagree with is make him come. No, I'm just kidding. So I'll just take, since I'm already talking, Alaina, I'll go first on this. So I want to say that I love this idea if it feels right for you, right? So I also want to point out that your male partner waking up with an erection every morning is a good sign. It's a sign of his heart health. So if your male partner wakes up with an erection frequently, that his heart is good and his circulatory system is healthy. If that changes, you want to have him go get a health checkup. So that's just that's a little barometer for you to know if your partner's healthy, is if he stops waking up with a hard on, that could be indicative of a heart issue. So you go to the doctor and and get his heart checkup. So waking up with an erection is a good sign of heart health. And I hear you. Like you want to make good use of that. Unfortunately, in my case, I would be giving blowjobs every morning, and I'm just not down for that. I am totally down for blowjobs some mornings. I appreciate her sentiment. I too, like, you don't want to waste a good heart on. And I love waking my partner up with some wonderful oral pleasure. That's a wonderful thing to do. And sometimes I will go make him coffee. And I do this because 9 times out of 10, it's my partner going to make me coffee in the morning. I literally wake up to coffee on my bedside table almost every morning. It's amazing. And if I would allow him to give me oral sex when I first wake up, that motherfucker would be down for it. He's like, so I
Yes.
mean, honestly, I really appreciate her sentiment. I don't think that we as women, we should feel obligated to do it. I don't think there should be a have to, because then you start to resent your partner, and that's no good. But I love the idea of, I just want to, I love the idea of her invitation. I'm going to receive this as an invitation that, on a Saturday, Sunday morning, you got a lazy morning, the kids are asleep or out of the house or whatever, and your partner wakes up with a blowjob or wakes up with a hard on. Give that man some love, and then go make him some coffee. And then the next morning he can do the same to you. I'm just saying, reciprocity is a thing. That's my hot take on this. Reciprocity is a thing. So if you're doing it for him, make sure he's doing it for you. Okay. That's what I got to say. Your thoughts, Alaina?
Yeah, I agree with most of what you said as well. I'd say the first thing that really stood out to me in a negative way when I watched this was the should of it,
Yeah,
which I think you've already gone into. Again, just reinforcing that this isn't a rule, but if it's a thing you want to do, it's a lovely thing to do for your partner. The I'll say I do see a little bit of a danger in this as a mindset. If the relationship is unhealthy, right? Like in a happy, healthy relationship, this is a beautiful, wonderful way to care and worship your partner, right? If that feels correct for you. Um, but making it a should, like making it a thing that all women should try to aspire to, is also, ripe for creating an oppressive situation for an
absolutely.
individual who's in a bad relationship where they're kind of like expected to do this on a regular basis and might face repercussions. On the other positive side, I also like the concept of being disciplined in your sex life with your partner too. It doesn't have to be in this way, but what I like about it is just reminding folks that you're not going to have a sustainable relationship long term if you're just always waiting for the right moment. Your sexuality is something you have to focus on and be disciplined about in whatever way works for you. So that could be blowjobs every morning. It could be a couple sex dates per week, or one or two or four or seven, but it does require some focus, attention, and discipline.
It's an investment, right?
Yeah.
Our sexual connection, having a vibrant sexual connection with your partner, is an investment. And I will say that when you first sent me this video as a potential hot take, my first impression of it was that it was like dripping in patriarchy.
Mhm.
And that, as you mentioned, the should in there, it feels like it does set up an imbalanced power dynamic, and throwback to like the old roles of traditional gender roles, and you got to service your man to keep him happy. And I just want to, I want to, that's one way. Maybe that's her intention in delivering it, but flipping the script, I love viewing it as an invitation for, as you said, discipline, or an invitation to invest. And I love the reciprocity thing, because I know, because my relationship is vibrant and healthy, because we work at that shit. I know that if I do that for my partner, he receives it as a blessing with so much gratitude and so much appreciation, and that motherfucker will reciprocate at the drop of a dime. He's not a motherfucker, but I'm just saying, feel my
In a
passion.
good way.
Yeah, in a good way. He's a Davy fucker. Um, he will reciprocate. So having that having reciprocity in relationships is really healthy. So I would just say, in relationship to this, if the dynamic is that the sexual service is always going in one direction, that's a red flag. that there's an imbalance there. So as long as y'all both are loving each other up, at any opportunity you get or at multiple opportunities, that's a positive thing. That's a win for both partners, right? So anyway, we appreciate your sentiment, Alaina. Blessings to you, sister. Blessings to you. Go preach, girl. Preach. Tell them. Tell them all about making your man happy with morning blowjobs. Okay, so speaking of morning blowjobs, this episode is answering your questions about semen retention, y'all. Semen retention. So, as we said, a lot of these questions came from our ejaculation mastery program in the vault, and in our ejaculation mastery program vault. That's what we call it. Those program vaults with all the information. They're like treasure chests. And so we're grateful to all of you Lingam owners and men who have taken that program and continue to take that program. And we're super grateful for your questions. These are fantastic questions. So we're going to answer them for all of you online. So Alaina, hit us.
Okay, so first question. There are many articles online that say the $1 million point has a lot of side effects that may lead to harm. Should I believe this? Should I be aware of anything?
Do you want to take a crack at that first, or you want me to go?
I'll happily take a crack at that first. So the first thing I want to say is, for those of you who don't know, the $1 million point is a hold technique that's taught in semen retention, where the man or penis owner is pressing on their like up and in on their perineum in order to press on the prostate and block semen from being expelled from the penis during ejaculation. So that's a technique that we teach that's pretty common in the semen retention world. And there are concerns out there about whether this is harmful or not. And the truth is that if it's performed incorrectly, it could be harmful, as many things that are performed incorrectly could be harmful. So, when done correctly and with proper guidance, the $1 million point should not cause any adverse effects, especially if the trained practitioner that you're working with understands potential contraindications and is able to direct you to the appropriate points, uh, without causing harm. So some things that can cause harm with the $1 million point, if you push too high on the perineum, you risk pushing on the bulb of the penis. That's the wonderful bulbous erectile tissue directly under the perineum. So if you push on that and you push on that regularly, there is the potential that you could cause damage to it. Davey, I saw your face. Do you have something to add to that?
No, I wanted to make sure we were recording.
Oh.
I was like, oh shit! I forgot to press record.
Yeah, so don't push on the erectile tissue of the bulb of your penis. It's pretty easy to avoid this if the person is finding the $1 million point while they're erect, because when you're erect, you can clearly feel where the bulb of the penis is under the perineum. So don't push on it. You end up pushing just past it. Additionally, there are some contraindications to doing the $1 million points. Do you want to talk about those, or are you happy if I do it?
You please do it.
Okay, so some of the people who should not do this are anyone who has had an issue with their prostate. So prostate cancer, prostatitis, anything else prostate oriented. You don't want to do the $1 million point. And yeah, you just want to avoid it because you've had issues in that area. There are also medications that would be inappropriate to use the $1 million point with. One of the big ones is Flomax, which is a medication for people who have an inflamed prostate, who have trouble peeing. So it keeps is it the internal or external sphincter open? I think it's the internal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it keeps that internal sphincter open so that they can pee more easily. But the problem is that that sphincter really needs to be closed when pressing on the $1 million point. And if it's not, then your semen can go up into the bladder instead of, staying and being reabsorbed in where it is, in the prostate and in the prostatic urethra and vas deferens.
Beautiful, beautiful. So yes, everything that you said, and I will say that yes, the $1 million point is dangerous when performed improperly.
Yeah.
And so what I have seen, so again, y'all, I'm speaking from 17 years. So I started this in 2008. That's like a fucking lifetime ago. Like some of y'all listening were born in 2008, right? So I'm just saying it's a long time. And so what I've seen in the field is that um, some folks decided to like that were improperly trained and decided to make DIY videos, do it yourself videos on YouTube. And so, or just set up a program for 99.99 or whatever and try so but the key is that they're not trained. So they were doing it incorrectly or improperly, and then they were then teaching other people how to do it improperly and incorrectly. Or people just read a book about it, like Montauk Chia's, and decide that they're going to figure it out on their own. And then they start sharing that information. So if you are doing the $1,000,000 point incorrectly, you will hurt yourself. You will
Hmm.
hurt yourself 100 fucking percent. If you are doing the $1,000,000 point correctly, you will liberate yourself. You will liberate yourself. I have been instructing men in how to do this for 17 years and how to do it correctly and effectively. And I've only experienced positive results. And if there have been any contraindications involved, we just recommend a different semen retention method, because $1,000,000 point is not your only manual semen retention method. There are more, but it is a highly effective method for men when it's being done properly. And the key is that you're using it like training wheels on your bike. You're using it to teach your nervous system, to train your nervous system to separate orgasm from ejaculation. And it's a very rudimentary, very blunt, and very effective method that once you have rewired or retrained your nervous system to orgasm without ejaculating, you rarely need to use it. You rarely
Yep.
need to use it, right? With this method, when it's being done properly, you are putting pressure on your prostate. That's good for your prostate. Putting pressure on your prostate is good for it. That's the whole thing about prostate massage. I apply way more pressure to the prostate during prostate massage sometimes than I do doing the $1,000,000 point. You do need to use a lot of pressure with a $1,000,000 point, but I have really yarned. I like what I've like. I have worked on that prostate, right? And it's way more pressure than the $1,000,000 point. And so it's
Mhm.
healthy for your prostate to be massaged. It's healthy for your prostate to be stimulated. And blocking the semen in that way, if you're doing it all day every day, it's going to be a bit much. But using it the way that we instruct you to use it, proper instruction, proper direction, proper method, proper application, when used properly, it's a tool for liberation. It has supported so many men in orgasming and retraining, rewiring their nervous system to orgasm without ejaculating. So I would say, if you're interested in that method, learn from a professional, learn from somebody who knows how to teach it and is doing it properly. And this question came from our vault, so you know that in our training programs we are teaching you to do this properly and correctly. But that being said, if you have any doubt, then don't do it. Do something different. We provide multiple semen retention methods in our program. So use a different one. Use a different method that may be a little bit gentler, that may take a little bit longer, but is still going to be highly effective. Like, always trust your body. Always trust your body, and always trust your intuition. So if it's a method that doesn't feel safe for you, don't do it. But if you listen to this and you're like, oh yeah, I trust these people know what the fuck they're talking about, and if I have questions, I will ask them. If you're uncertain about anything, ask us, and we will guide you to the right place, and we will guide you to the right space. So there you go. So I would say use discernment, know who you're learning from. But if you're working with a trusted professional, I would encourage you to follow their guidance, but always listen to your body and listen to your intuition. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and it is a dangerous method when it's done improperly. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, yeah. And like you said, it's really designed to be in combination with other semen retention methods, right? If you're just doing it on its own, it might not bring you the benefits, and then you're just using it every single time you're masturbating, right? So it is really short term. And the only other thought I had about that too was, like you said, it's designed to be used to create that separation and then it's a tool on the path to becoming multi-orgasmic, right? So it's not really designed to be done over and over and over and over and over again for the rest of your life. So if you are learning these semen retention practices, say from EJM or elsewhere, and you're not progressing to becoming multi-orgasmic, I'd say within at least a year, it might be time to reach out and get a coach so that you can troubleshoot any issues that might be happening. So you're not putting that repeated pressure on your prostate over a long length of time.
Yeah, I would say with our Ejaculation Mastery for Men program, like I would say you should be noticing results within 3 to 6 months. And that doesn't mean that you're going to be fully multi-orgasmic all the time, but your orgasmic ability, you should be expanding. Your capacity for pleasure should be expanding, your ability to like all of that, like the reports that we've gotten from that program, like you should be seeing results, clear, definable, tangible results within, you know, less than 3 months. But that ability, you should have significantly more control over your downward voiding winds absolutely within 90 days of doing that program, 100%. So again, not saying you're going to be fully multi-orgasmic, but you should be noticing tangible changes pretty quickly. And if you're not, agreed, you may want to reach out to a coach for a session for support. So of course we have our coaches, but there may be other coaches you want to work with, but you just may need some support. So that's that $1 million point. Okay. Sexuality is more than what happens or doesn't happen in the bedroom. Holistic sexology approaches human sexual wellness, activity, and function through a whole person lens.
Unlike the typical Western approach to sexuality, which often separates people into isolated parts, holistic sexology recognizes that all aspects of a person are interconnected. It views human sexuality as a system of being rather than a series of isolated events.
This work is desperately needed now more than ever. The climate of sexual ignorance fuels the climate of sexual violence, and well-educated sexuality teachers and healers are desperately needed to help transform the current landscape.
As a certified holistic sexologist, you are trained to consider all aspects of your clients to understand their collective whole. You will support people in healing and transforming their relationships to their bodies and sexuality to support them in reclaiming their birthright to pleasure.
The Institute of Holistic Sexology offers the only government-accredited holistic sexology certification on the market. Early registration opens November 1st. Go to holisticsexologyinstitute.com to learn more and become a part of the healing and evolution. Moving on. What's next, Alaina?
Okay, so I am able to have multiple orgasms, but my question is, how do I know that I'm not having retrograde ejaculations? Sometimes after I practice, I notice my urine can be quite foamy or cloudy. I've heard other practitioners say men can be doing this without knowing it and not receive the full benefit of retaining.
Okay, so I'll speak to this because there's a few things to this. This is an anatomy thing. So first of all, speaking to the foamy or cloudy urine after you after you have a non-ejaculatory orgasm, what I recommend after a non-ejaculatory orgasm is that you do some pelvic floor exercises. So if you are training with our Ejaculation Mastery program, do the power wind exercises, both squatting and standing. If you don't know what the power wind exercises are, just do some Kegels, do some pelvic floor Kegels. And I recommend, doing them while you're laying down. I recommend doing some while you're standing up. I recommend squatting and doing some. And what these exercises are going to do is they're going to pull the semen from your urethra and even from your prostate back into your body so it can be reabsorbed. When you retain your semen, that semen is just sitting there in your prostate. That's what it's doing. So then when you get up and you go to the bathroom, it's going to come out your urethra. That's a very normal thing. Of course, it's going to come out of your urethra. It's sitting there in your prostate, and your urethra comes out of your prostate. So yes, it's probably in your prostate. There's probably some in your urethra. And when you pee, it's flushing that out. Okay. So, but it's a minimal amount, y'all. So there's not a loss. That little tiny bit that's not a loss. Okay. So highly recommend after you have a non-ejaculatory orgasm, whether you're using a block or whether you just are having non-ejaculatory orgasms, without needing a manual method at this point, do some pelvic floor exercises to help with the reabsorption of the semen into the body, right? And where does it go? Well, the body eats it, quite frankly. It's just reabsorbed into the tissues of the body, and it literally digests it. We'll do one episode. We'll do an episode in the future, maybe in the next season, that outlines for you, like breaks down for you what actually happens to the semen and the sperm in your body when it's not ejaculated. Because I did like a deep dive on this like several years ago. I did like the lifespan of a sperm, and it has a 72-day lifespan. And it's like a wonderful journey that you can go on with your sperm to understand what happens to it and where it goes. And when you don't ejaculate it, it becomes food. It's nutrition. It's food for your body, right? So do some pelvic floor exercises, and that will help with that foamy, cloudy urine. And know that again, it's minimal amount, so it's not a loss. It's a little bit that's left in your tubes that's going to come out when you pee. So and congratulations for having a non-ejaculatory orgasm. You are like 1 in a million men, right? The other thing is prostate anatomy. So your prostate is a gland about the size of a chestnut or walnut, I think, depending. And it has 2 sphincters on it. It's got the internal sphincter, which I can't remember what the name of it, but it's the sphincter that goes, and so the sphincter is opens and closes, right? Kind of like your anus. Your anus is a sphincter, right? Your anal sphincter, right? So it opens and closes. So the internal sphincter of the prostate connects to the bladder. And then there's the distal sphincter, which is the sphincter that closes for the urethra. So in the process, when you get turned on, what occurs is both of those sphincters are closed, right? So your distal sphincter is closed unless you want to pee. When you have to pee, the whatever brain or nervous system sends a message to the soft tissue of the sphincter, and it causes it to open, and then urine flows out your urethra. And then when you're done peeing, that sphincter closes. That's why you're not dribbling urine all the time, right? And if you are dribbling urine, it's probably because you have a sphincter issue. That's what's going on there. And then that internal sphincter, again, it's closed until you need to pee. And then it opens to let the urine from your bladder flow through the urethra. The external sphincter opens, and it's like this little tube. It's like a little, little tube that happens. So both of those sphincters are meant to be closed most of the time. And particularly when you are aroused and getting your sexy on, those sphincters are closed, so you're not peeing in your partner's vagina or peeing in your partner's anus or just, peeing in your bed when you're self-pleasuring. Those sphincters are closed. So it's designed for your body, for those sphincters to stay closed. So when you do a semen retention method and that semen is, not shooting out your urethra, it's unless your internal sphincter is open, it's not going back into your bladder. It's kind of, in my understanding, it's kind of anatomically impossible unless that sphincter is being held open by a drug like Flomax or some other type of drug that is designed to hold that sphincter open. That's what Flomax does. It holds that internal sphincter open so that the urine from the bladder can flow out to, your urethra, right? So otherwise that sphincter is closed. So your semen is not going to go back into your bladder because the door is closed. The door to the bladder is closed. So what's occurring is it's hanging out in your prostate, right? So I like, if I'm incorrect, like if there's a medical professional listening to this and you like specialize in the prostate and those sphincters, like my understanding is those doors are closed until they need to be open. And the whole process of a male ejaculatory orgasm, and you can find this information in The Science of Orgasm by Beverly Whipple and Komisarek, they studied what happens in the prostate during, before and during an orgasm. And the whole thing about a male ejaculatory orgasm is both of those sphincters are closed. and the fluid is building in the prostate, and that at a certain point of pleasure, there's a signal that's sent by the sympathetic branch of the hypogastric nerve sends a signal for that that external sphincter to open so that the semen comes out. So that's how they know that if you block that pathway of the sympathetic branch of the hypogastric nerve pathway, you can block that pathway, and men can still have an orgasm without ejaculating, because it's that specific nerve pathway that causes the ejaculatory response. But up until that ejaculatory response occurs, both of those sphincters are closed and the fluid is just building in the prostate. So that's the way your body works. If that's wrong, let me know, but that's what the science says. And so retrograde ejaculation honestly should not be a thing unless there's, there's so much pressure that it blows the sphincter open. But prove it to me. Prove to me that that's what's happening, right? So really, I think when most people are saying retrograde ejaculation, I think it's just the fluid in the prostate. So do some pelvic floor exercises and reabsorb that shit, and there you go. And even if there's a little bit that comes into your urine, it's a little bit. It's not an ejaculation. And the other thing about ejaculatory orgasms is it's not just the fluid, it's also energy, right? We are not just physical, it's physical and energy. So there's an energetic discharge as well as a semen discharge. So when you retain, you're retaining the semen, the fluid, but you're also retaining that energy. So that energy stays in the body, is held in the body, which is what you want, because then you use that energy for creating shit, for, building a business or building a house or building a family or building a website, whatever it is, you use that energy. Your body utilizes and metabolizes that energy. And if it's too much energy, you need to shake it off. You need to disperse it in another way. So sports. So one of the things that Dr. Erickson does when he's retaining for a while, he starts to get edgy, because that can happen. And, when you retain semen for long periods of time, you can get edgy. He surfs. He goes to wear himself out and surfs if he starts to get edgy. So you do want to channel that energy into other activities. But the key is that you don't want to just dispel it or disperse it, because then it's a loss. If you're doing it unconsciously, if you're doing it without choice, because what we're advocating for is for you to have choice over your ejaculation. I'm not saying never ejaculate. I'm saying ejaculate intentionally, as opposed to just a reflex, which you have no control over. You can have control over that, and you can ejaculate when and if you want to. You have that power. You have that ability. All right. That's my monologue. What's up? What are your thoughts, Alaina?
I have no addition and no notes.
Okay, no notes.
Beautiful.
All right, y'all. So I guess that really was a monologue.
All right, next question. So, hi there. I've always had a lot of tension in my pelvic floor for most of my life. I'm 25. I feel like I have a lifetime of stress, tension, and shame in or around that region. I've been getting more comfortable with that region, but I still have no clue really where the prostate is or where to find it.
All right, well, we are here for you, my friend. Let's all right, so Alaina, you break it down. You teach them.
Wonderful. So I think the first thing that I want to say is I'm sorry that you feel so much stress, tension, and shame around your pelvic floor. So many of us are left with that shame and tension as a result of our upbringing, our experiences, and it's heartbreaking when we experience that shame around our bodies. And I'm doing a bad job right now.
No, you're doing a great job. You're offering empathy to our wonderful audience, and that's part of what we do. Is we empathize with you, and we're all suffering. We're all suffering the ignorance, the sexual ignorance of the society, and it's a burden that we shouldn't have to bear. And that's one of the reasons that we want to bring this information to you, is so that you no longer have to bear the burden of ignorance that is not yours to bear. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully, I guess off the bat, hopefully, if you've been taking the ejaculation mastery course, you have gotten some tools or have understood how that shame lives in your body through, our description of how somatic pain lives in our bodies and how you can heal it. And I'm hoping that with those tools, you've been able to work a little bit with some of that shame in order to release it. Um, so that's the first part there. In terms of where the prostate is and how to find it. So for our viewers who are looking at this, I'm going to share the screen, and for our folks who are listening, we'll describe it. Um,
So if you want to see, you
so
can find us on YouTube at Holistic Sexology Institute on YouTube.
yes. So for those of you who are watching, the prostate, as Davy said, is a walnut-sized gland located inside of the body, a little bit below the bulb of the penis if you're pushing up and into the pelvic cavity. It's adjacent to the bladder. If you're if you're accessing it through your perineum, which you can push on it through the perineum, as we've been talking about, you would access it by sliding your hands just past the bulb of your penis and pushing up and into the body. But if you're accessing it from the anus, it's a little bit different. So uh, you would take a tool of some sort, typically, a curved wand, like a G-spot wand, and you would very gently and lovingly, with lots and lots of lubrication, you would enter your anus over time as you gently work that area. And then the prostate can be found about, I'd say, 2 inches on inside the anus, uh, pushing
Uh,
towards the front of your body, pushing up and towards the front of your body. So if you're entering from the back, you're then pushing towards the front. So then you're able to access it through the wall of the anus. And do you have things to add to that, Davy?
no, just yeah, I guess yes. So as just reiterating what Alaina said, it's up and in towards the anterior front of the body, and it's similarly positioned to the female G spot. So for all y'all gentlemen who are listening with avid ears to educators online about where the G spot is, your prostate gland is considered to be like the male G spot, right? So it's placed almost exactly the same. Use the same technique that you would use on her G spot to stimulate your prostate.
Yeah, yeah. And considering that there is that tension and shame in your pelvic region, just note that there can be shame and release when the prostate is massaged as well, or anytime lingam owners are entering their anus if they've never done it before. It can be a source of internalized shame as well. So go slow, create a lot of space for yourself, a lot of space and time physically to do it, but also a lot of emotional space to be really tender with yourself and easeful with yourself as you go through the process of exploring your anus and your prostate.
And I would say, in addition, particularly if you have a lot of constriction in your pelvic floor, I mean, that's usually that's tension, right? So
Yeah.
your nervous system is tense. So there's some tension there. I would suspect it's related to trauma. That's usually what happens. That tension is like a frozen fight or flight response. That's what that is. That constriction is a frozen defensive response. And I would highly recommend massage in that area. And if you are part of our ejaculation mastery program or you're looking to take our ejaculation mastery program, Alaina did a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lingam massage addition to that program for you all so that you would have sufficient tools to address an even deeper, even address dysfunction, what we call label dysfunction, with even more depth
Mm.
and skill. So, highly recommend lingam massage. Our lingam massage includes your whole pelvic bowl and your thighs and your legs and everything, because all of that is part of your organ, your sexual organ, and affects your sexual function. So, highly, highly recommend lingam massage for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we go deeper and give more of like a step-by-step uh, introduction to playing with the anus in that class as well.
Yay. Because you know what?
Yay.
The anus is a second vagina, guys. I'm just saying. That's what my gay friends told me. The anus is the other vagina, and your own anus is a portal of pleasure for you. So don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed about your pleasure. Claim your pleasure. Don't let the society block you from your pleasure. Don't let the society block you from your birthright to pleasure, yo.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's start being
Okay.
a rebel. Be a rebel. Claim your anus. Be a rebel.
Okay. Next question. So, what do I do if my body tightens when ejaculating? Shall I breathe in and relax? How do I move the energy?
Relax and breathe. So first I would say building up to ejaculation. You don't want to just try and relax and breathe when you ejaculate. You want to relax and breathe throughout your sexual stimulation. You want to keep that nervous system fluid. You want to keep that breath going and flowing. And so the number one breath that we recommend for this is the ocean breath. And again, that's included in our program. You know, we've got ocean breath all over the place online, so you might be able to find it. Our graduates teach ocean breath, but ocean breath, like again, in 17 years of teaching this on the ground in the trenches, yo, the ocean breath is your golden ticket for expanded orgasm and pleasure for all bodies. Like this is true for all bodies, regardless of your genital anatomy, but particularly for you men learning to separate orgasm from ejaculation. Ocean breath is your golden ticket. That is your fastest, quickest path, right? So you want to learn how to, and you want to master, quite frankly, integrating ocean breath into your sexual pleasure session. So you're relaxed. So you get to the point of ejaculating and you're already relaxed. You're just relaxing. And there is, you know, there's the part of the experience of orgasm is pleasurable tension building in that body. So by keeping your breath going and your body moving, the other thing when you hold your breath, you hold your body. You're all like
Mhm.
clenched up, clenched. Well, that doesn't leave any space for that orgasm to go if you're all tight and constricted. So let your body move, like, breathe, ride that wave of pleasure, ride, move your pelvis in circles, move your pelvis in undulations, let your body move. And that breath and that movement combined is going to spread that energy through your body. Again, you know, our society keeps us constricted, it keeps us confined, it keeps us like our movements, like you can't move your hips too much or people are going to think whatever, right? So all of that tension, all of that holding in your body prevents your orgasmic energy from moving and flowing and spreading. So the more
Yeah.
you can breathe, the more you can make sound. Let us hear how good it feels. Make sound. Turn on the music so you don't wake up your neighbors. Whatever you need to do, like make sound, breathe, and move your body. And you're going to find that your orgasmic ability expands and becomes spacious, more spacious,
Mhm.
more open, and deeper and more fulfilling at the same time. And it's going to be easier for you to orgasm without ejaculating and claim those, you know, start to experience those over 11 different orgasms that you all are capable of. All right. So that's my 10 cents. What you got, Alaina?
Oh, that was excellent. I guess I would just add, for me personally, relaxing with pleasure is one of the ways that I experience feeling those orgasms move through my whole body. Um, so
Yep. Yep.
that's my number one go-to.
Yep. So breathe, make sound, and move that beautiful body you got, my friends.
Beautiful. Okay, so last question. Is it okay to imagine a sexual partner when masturbating? Sure. Why wouldn't it be okay to imagine a sexual partner when masturbating? I'd say maybe the only time it wouldn't be is if for some reason you'd agreed not to.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm amazed. I've been married for 9 years, and my husband still thinks about me when he self pleasures. I'm like, I am so honored. I'm like, you could be thinking about anything, and he's like, no, I think he even has dreams about me, and I'm like,
Mhm.
you could dream about anybody. Why are you dreaming about see you? That trips me out. So I personally consider it an honor if my male partner self pleasures thinking about me. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But you know, if you're, I mean, maybe check in with your partner if they're really like, hell no. then like obviously honor their boundaries. But I think it's a beautiful honor, and other questions about that, like similar to that, are like, is it okay if I, think about erotic situations when I'm masturbating? Particularly folks, the question isn't just like random, like when I'm masturbating. It's these questions are coming into like our ejaculation mastery course, or or they're talking about under the umbrella of tantra. Is it okay to think about
Oh, right,
erotic
right.
situations when doing tantra? Absolutely. Tantra is about like non-dualism, no separation, include everything in your practice. That was one of my primary instructors 17 or instructions 17 years ago, is in everything, bring everything into your practice. It includes everything. So yes,
Yeah.
you can think about sexy things when you self pleasure.
Yeah.
I mean, we need stimulation. I'm even a fan of like erotica, using whatever we need to jumpstart that engine, or add some juice to that engine. So listen to some erotica. We've got one of our graduates, you can find her on Instagram, Tuche Balek. I am Tuche Balek, I think is her channel. This woman puts out some erotica, yo. Y'all need seriously, this shit is so hot. And she designs it specifically for self pleasure. It's like self pleasure erotica. So, absolutely. Like, again, like, this is like our sexual experience should be full. It should be full and gorgeous and luxurious and erotic. Like, bring everything to the table. It's a luxury. Give yourself all the supports and all the juicy, juicy, juicy. Bring it all to the table. Even like I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and they were talking about how they're porn connoisseur, right? And so it's like they don't just want like random shit. They're like the porn that is like these actors are into it. Like, I don't know, like if y'all have watched porn when people are really fucking into what, like, they want to be fucking that person in that moment. That shit is the bomb. Like, that is porn to me, right? Not this whatever drivel shit they have on the internet. Like that like high quality porn, and they use that like to get all juicy, and then they turn it off and go into their tantric masturbation practice, right? So they use it skillfully to turn on, but then they turn off the electronics so they can attune to their bodies, and then they fantasize and think about what they just watched. That's beautiful. Again, bring everything on the path. And it's about using it skillfully and mindfully in ways that support you, as opposed to ways that distract or detract from your experience, right? And from your intention with your experience. Sex is a holy, sacred sacrament. It is, whether it's sex with ourselves or sex with another, it is a holy, sacred sacrament. And so let's start acting like that. Let's start pleasuring ourselves as if it's a holy act, as if it's an offering to our creator, because it is. Because it is. Right? Let's start pleasuring each other as if it's a holy offering. And that doesn't mean that it can't be nasty and dirty and, funky and kinky. It can be all of it. It can be all of it, because that is all of who we are. We are the totality of our humanity, right? And we get to have that. We get to have it anytime we choose it. We get to have that. We just need to choose it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in the context of ejaculation mastery, I do have one caveat that I thought
Okay.
of, because initially when I was looking at this, I forgot that it was in that context, and
Mhm.
I was just imagining someone masturbating regularly. The only caveat I have is when we're doing tantric work, sometimes we're just masturbating for fun. Sometimes we're masturbating for healing, right? And somatic healing can arise at any time. So, uh, I'd say occasionally folks who run into a block, instead of like being present with the block, will sometimes distract themselves with something else. So you don't want to use your fantasies or, imagining your sexual partner as a way to push through a block instead of being with the block. So that would be my only caveat to that.
Yeah, or like distract from the block as
Yeah.
opposed to being present with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Well, that is all for this episode of Sex is Medicine. Your questions answered. Once again, go ahead and send us your questions, please. You can send us your questions at holisticsexualegyinstitute.com. Go ahead and click that podcast button there, option on the menu, and fill out the form and send us your questions, or you can just send them directly to questions at holisticsexualegyinstitute.com. We love your questions. And if you're interested in cultivating the art of separating orgasm from ejaculation as a man, we invite you to check out our Ejaculation Mastery for Men program. Once again, you can find that at holisticsexualegyinstitute.com. Go to the Tantra menu option and click down to Tantra for Men. That is currently our only option for Tantra for Men, is Ejaculation Mastery. So go ahead and do that. And then for those of you who are excited and interested in doing this work professionally, because this is a growing field, holistic sexual wellness is a growing field, and we need it more now today than ever. Globally, we need it more now today than ever. And we are the only government accredited holistic sexology certification on the market. So go to holisticsexualegyinstitute.com and check out our certification page, sign up for updates, and we will be doing a free introductory seminar on holistic sexology on November 4th. So you can go ahead and put that in your calendars. Yay. All right, my friends, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we are so excited to connect with you again next week for another episode of Sex is Medicine, your number one woke resource for holistic sex education. Love y'all. Have a great week. Peace out.
You've been listening to Sex is Medicine, your number one resource for holistic sex education.
Make sure you like and subscribe to Sex is Medicine on all your listening platforms, and follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, where you can get your daily dose of Sex is Medicine videos and episode recaps. Also, make sure you register for your weekly dose of Sex is Medicine at holisticsexualegyinstitute.com and send us your questions, please, at questions@holisticsexualegyinstitute.com. Thank you so much for listening to Sex is Medicine.